Hello everyone, welcome to Amarjyoti's Crochet World. Today I am here once again with my new tutorial. Today we are going to make a beautiful doily, a very easy beginner friendly doily, and it is having granny stitch, and it is a 5-pointer or star granny doily we are going to make. And I'm going to make with the acrylic yarn. You can use any acrylic, any cotton yarn or thread. It's up to you. The choice of yarn or thread is yours. And the relevant crochet hook you have to use, I'm using a 4-ply acrylic yarn, and the crochet hook I'm using is 4.0 mm crochet hook. We need a pair of scissors and we need tapestry needle to hide the ends. Okay, so you can use you can make it in the single color or in multiple colors, or in means more than one color you can use for making this doily. So let's start our doily. So first of all you have to make a slip knot and then make 8 chains. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, make 8 chains. Now slip stitch in the 8th chain from the hook, or in the last chain over here. So insert your hook in the chain stitch, yarn over and pull through the chain stitch and pull through the working loop. So you have created a ring. So we are going to work in this ring only. Okay, so this whole doily is made up of granny stitch, and a granny stitch or a granny block comprises of 3 double crochet stitches. Okay, so start your row number 1 with 3 chains. This 3 chain is considered as your first double crochet stitch. Every row will start with chain 3, and every chain 3 will be considered as your first double crochet stitch of the row. Okay, so we are going to work in the ring now, in this loop now. So in this loop we are going to make 2 more double crochet stitches because we have to make the granny stitch. So chain 3 is your first double crochet stitch, 2 more double crochet stitches. So it is a granny stitch or a granny block, because we are going to work we are going to make a 5-pointer or a star granny doily. So we have to make 5 granny stitches in here, separated by chain 2. So make 2 chains, make 1 more granny stitch in the ring, 1 double crochet stitch, second double crochet stitch, all in the loop, and third double crochet stitch. Okay, 1 granny block is done. Make chain 2, 2 granny stitches are done. Third time make a granny stitch, 1 2 3, chain 2, 3 granny stitches are done. Make 2 more granny stitches, and in between there should be chain 2 space, 1 2 3, chain 2, and one more time 3 double crochet stitches or a granny stitch, and chain 2. Now slip stitch on the top of chain 3, the starting chain 3, 1 2 3. This is your third chain. In that insert your hook, yarn over and pull it out, and pull out through the working loop. So this is your 5 granny stitches in the loop. Okay, now because granny stitch is always worked in the chain spaces, so this is the chain space, chain 2 space. So we have to reach over here. For reaching over here, make slip stitches on every stitch over here. So after this chain 3 we are having 2 double crochet stitches. Now on the top of every double crochet stitch, first double crochet stitch make a slip stitch, on the last double crochet stitch make a slip stitch, and in the chain space, because you have to reach in the chain space also, so make a slip stitch in that. So we have reached in the chain space. Make chain 3. Chain 3 is considered as your first double crochet stitch. Now in the same chain space make 2 more double crochet stitches. So 1 and 2. So this is first granny block is done, or first granny stitch is done in the chain space. Now this is your round number 2. For round number 2 we have to make 2 granny stitches in the in each of the chain spaces. So because one granny stitch we have done, make chain 2. In the same space where we have done just right now, make one more granny stitch, 1 double crochet stitch, 2 double crochet stitch, and third double crochet stitch. Now if you see this, 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2, and 3 double crochet stitches, this is called a shell. Okay, so that means we are going to make shell in every chain space. Every chain 2 space we are going to make a shell. So in between we are going to make again chain 2 and skip all the granny stitches below the first granny stitch, that is 3 double crochet stitches, and jump to the chain space, immediately next chain space. In this chain space make a shell, that means 3 double crochet stitches, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochet stitches, that is 2 granny stitches or a shell. In each space we are going to make that. Again make chain 2, skip the granny stitch below. In the immediately next chain space make a shell, that means 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2, 3 double crochet stitches. So we are going to make 5 shells separated by chain 2. So again making a shell in the chain space, chain 2 and 3 double crochet stitches to complete the shell. Again chain 2, in the last chain space make 3 double crochet stitches, 2, 3, chain 2 and 3 double crochet stitches, 2, 3, and again end with chain 2 and slip stitch on the top of chain 3. This is your starting chain 3 of row number 2. 1, 2, 3. This is third chain. In this make a slip stitch. So this is your round number 2 is done. Okay, so see, now you can see there are 5 points or 5 pointers that are visible, or now a star kind of shape is visible. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to change the color at this point of time, just make a finish it off over here, or if you want to continue with the same color, keep on slip stitching on each of the stitches ahead and in the chain space as well. Make a slip stitch till here and then start making the row number 3. Because I want to change my color, so I have made a slip stitch on the top of chain 3. Now I am going to make chain 1 and I am going to cut my yarn. Okay, cut the yarn and then pull the hook. So round number 2 is done over here. Now I am going to start with round number 3. So taking my other color, I am going to attach in any of the chain spaces. Okay, now because this is a granny stitch, so granny square or granny stitch is always done in the chain spaces. So I am going to attach in any of the chain spaces with the help of a slip knot and then chain 3. Now one thing remember, these shells, these 5 shells will be continued till the end of your doily. Whatever width you are going to make for the doily, these shells will remain same. In each shell there will be a shell. Okay, so I have attached my yarn in the shell, so I have to make a shell in the shell. Okay, so chain 3 and 2 more double crochet stitches in the same space. We are working in between the shell, one of the shells, chain 2 and one more granny stitch in the same space, 1, 2 and 3. See, one shell in the other shell, in the last shell I have made. Again make chain 2. Now skip the double crochets below. Now reach the first chain space. Now the chain space is the both in between both the shells. This is the shell of round number 2, this is the shell of round number 2, and in between this is the space. Now we are going to work one granny stitch in this space. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now again chain 2. We have to make a shell in the shell only, but in the rest of the chain spaces we will be working only one granny stitch. Okay, so now after making chain 2 you have reached in between the shell. So now we are going to make a shell. Chain 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2 and 3 double crochet stitches, 2, 3. Right, again make chain 2, skip the double crochet stitches below and 3 double crochet stitches in between the chain space. Again chain 2, skip the double crochet stitches below, reach the chain space. Chain space is your shell. So in this shell make one more shell, 2, 3, 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2 and 3 double crochet stitches, 1, 2, 3, chain 2. After every pair of 3 double crochet stitches you have to make chain 2. Okay, so like this, skip the double crochets below, reach the first chain space, immediately next chain space. So this is between the shells, that means we have to make a one granny stitch, that is 3 double crochet stitches only. Again chain 2 and in between the shell we have to make a shell. Complete it till here, till this space. Here you will end up with only 3 double crochet stitches and chain 2. So I'll meet you at the end of round number 3. Now I am at the end of this row. So you will be ending with chain 2 and slip stitch on the top of chain 3. Again, if you want to continue with the same yarn, slip stitch on the top of double crochet stitches and slip stitch in between the chain 2 space also, and then start working the row. Okay, but as I want to change my yarn, so I have made a slip stitch on the top of chain 3. Just make chain 1 and cut the yarn. This is the way to finish off your work or finish off your yarn. Okay, these loose ends are at the back. We will be hiding them after we finish our doily. Okay, so now the 5 pointers are visible clearly. So let me take my other color. Okay, now make a slip knot with any of the yarns, and I am going to attach in between the shell, any of the shell. Take the slip knot and make chain 3. Chain 3 is your first double crochet stitch, because we are working in the shell, so we are going to complete the shell as well. So 2 more double crochet stitches, chain 2 and 3 more double crochet stitches. That means we are going to complete our shell. 1, 2, 3. So shell in the shell, right? Chain 2. Now you can see this is the shell, this is the shell, right? So there are 2 shells on one side, but in between there are 2 chain spaces as well. So in every chain space in between we are going to work only one granny stitch, over here, one over here. Okay, and on the shell 2 granny stitches separated by chain 2, right? So skip this 3 double crochet stitches and in the immediately next chain space make a granny stitch, that is 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2, skip the granny stitch below make one granny stitch in the immediately next chain space. Chain 2. Now you have reached the shell. In between the shell, make a shell. So 3 double crochet stitches, 1, 2 and 3, chain 2 and 3 more double crochet stitches, 1, 2, 3, chain 2. Now again in the first chain space, after that make one granny stitch, that is 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2, skip the granny stitch below, and in the immediately next space make 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2, skip the 3 double crochet stitches. You will be in between the shell stitch, so in between the shell stitch make one more shell stitch. So 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2 and 3 double crochet stitches, 1, 2, 3, chain 2. So like this, complete this whole row in the same pattern, right? So I'll meet you at the end of this row. You will be ending with 3 double crochet stitches in the last chain space and chain 2. So I'll meet you at the end of row number 1, 2, 3, 4, row number 4. So I am ending with chain 2 and slip stitch on the top of chain 3. Again, if you want to continue with the same yarn, keep on slip stitching till you reach the in between the chain space or in between the shell, or if you want to change the yarn, just make a slip stitch in on the top of chain 3, chain 1 and cut the yarn, and then pull the crochet hook, pull the end. So this way you have finished off the yarn. Okay, again I'm going to attach in between the shell. Take your another color. So taking white again, make a slip knot and attach in between the shell. Start with chain 3, 2 more double crochet stitches in the same space, chain 2 and 3 double crochet stitches in the same chain space, 1, 2, 3, chain 2. Now we have 3 chain spaces in between two shells, 1, 2 and 3. This is first shell, this is second shell. So there are 3 chain spaces. So in each chain space make 3 double crochets only or 1 granny stitch. Shell is made only in the shell. So 3 double crochet stitches in the first chain space, chain 2, skip the granny stitch below. In the second chain space make next chain granny stitch, chain 2, skip the granny stitch below, one more granny stitch, 1, 2, 3, chain 2. So in between the shell make a shell, 1, 2, 3, 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2 and 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2. So like this complete the whole row by making shell in the shell, and in between the chain spaces make only 1 granny stitch or 3 double crochet stitches separated by chain 2. I'll meet you at the end of this row. You will be ending with 3 double crochet stitches and chain 2. Okay, I'll meet you at the end of row number 5. Okay, I am at the end of row number 5. Slip stitch on the top of chain 3, chain 1 and cut the yarn. Now again I am going to attach another color in the mid of the shell with the help of a slip knot. Chain 3, 2 more double crochet stitches, chain 2 and 3 more double crochet stitches in the same chain space. 1, 2, 3, chain 2. Okay, so again make 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 chain spaces on the side and the shell. Now make one granny stitch over here, chain 2, 1 granny square, chain 2, 1 granny stitch, chain 2, 1 granny stitch over here, and then chain 2, 1 granny stitch over here, and chain 2, 1 granny stitch over here, and chain 2, and a shell over here. Shell is 1 granny stitch, chain 2 and 1 granny stitch, or 3 double crochet stitches, chain 2, 3 double crochet stitches. Okay, so complete this like this. Now this is the same pattern we have to follow till you reach the required number of rows or required width of your doily. Okay, so complete it as many rows you want to make, and then we will be making the edging. Okay, so let me see how many rows I will be making. Currently I am at 6th one. Maybe I may be making till row number 10, but keep on making like this only, shell on the shell only, and 1 granny stitch in between the chain spaces, shell on the shell, and in between the chain spaces 1 granny stitch, that is 3 double crochet stitches, and separated by 2 chains, right? So I'll meet you at the end of I think 10th row, but currently I don't know how I want a width, how much width I want, and then I'll show you how to make the edging for your 5 pointer doily or a Granny Star Doily. Okay, so complete it, pause my video, and you can make yours doily, and I will catch up later. Okay, so I am done with 10 rows by alternating the colors. So this is the star shaped doily is ready. So let's make the edging. So in any of the shells I have just attached the whatever color of edging you want to make. Just attach your yarn and then make chain 5, 1, 2, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the same chain space make a single crochet. Again make chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the same chain space make a single crochet. So we are going to make 2 pairs of chain 5 in the corner, and in the rest of the spaces make chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make 1 single crochet, chain 5, 3, 4, 5. In the next chain space make a single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the next chain space make a single crochet stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 5, and in each of the chain spaces 5, make 1 single crochet stitch in the sides, but on the corner, that is in the shell, make chain 5 and single crochet, again chain 5 and 1 more single crochet, so that here you can get the 2 pairs of these chain 5s. Okay, so keep on making like this. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the next chain space make a single crochet stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the next chain space make a single crochet stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next chain space make a single crochet stitch, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. In the next chain space make a single crochet. Now you have reached the shell. So in the shell chain 5, 5, make a single crochet in the shell, 1 more, 2 3 4 5 single crochet, one more, 2 3 4 5. So basically you have to make 3 single crochet stitches separated by 2 chain 5s, right? So this kind of bow kind of thing you have to make, but the chain is chain 5. So keep on making like this. So on the sides make chain 5 and single crochet in the side, in the chain space, chain 5 and single crochet in this chain space, chain 5 and single crochet in this chain space, like this keep on making. And when you reach the shell, make single crochet stitch. After making chain 5 single crochet stitch, chain 5 single crochet stitch, chain 5 single crochet stitch. So like this, 2 loops visible in the shell. Okay, so keep on making like this and reach in this side, in the starting point. Okay, so I'll meet you at the end of this row. Now we are at the starting point. Slip stitch in the first chain space or in the shell, just make a slip stitch. And because maybe okay, slip stitch in the chain space, blue the base one, and then slip stitch in the loop also. Okay, over here in the first loop, because you are in the corner, there are 2 loops in the corner. So in the first loop make a slip stitch and then make chain 5, 2 3 4 5, and then single crochet in the next chain space, 1 2 3 4 5, single crochet in the next chain space, 1 2 3 4 5, single crochet in the next chain space. So now we are making chain 5 and single crochet in the loops that we have created just now. Okay, so like this it creates a mesh or a net. So this will be your starting point. Here you will be attaching, making a slip stitch and finish off your yarn. So keep on making chain 5 and single crochet in the loop, chain 5 and single crochet in the loop, chain 5 and single crochet in the loop, chain 5 and single crochet in the loop. Like this keep on making. In every loop you are going to make a single crochet and then chain 5 like that, and then finish it off. So I'll meet you at the end of this row. Okay, now this kind of mesh or edging is done. This edging is totally optional. If you don't want to make it, do not make, just make this star doily. Okay, just make this star shaped doily or granny star doily. And if you are making these edges, just make small tassels like this, 3 or 4 yarns together, and then cut it and take any of the edge on the corner and attach these tassels like this, and then like this attach these kinds of tassels. Okay, so give me a minute, I will be attaching these tassels on the corners and then I'll meet you in a while. So this doily is ready, star shaped granny doily, granny star doily, or star granny doily, whatever name you want to give. So it's a beautiful, very easy and very quick to make doily, and beginner friendly as well. So if you are totally beginner and you know just the basic stitches like double crochet stitch and slip stitch and chain stitches and single crochet stitches, this is the perfect thing you can make for your home decor. So hope you like it. Please give it a thumbs up, please like, share and subscribe my channel. And if you have any queries, any doubts, please do write in the comment section. Your comments, your suggestions are always welcome. And if you are new to my channel, please do write in the comment, please do subscribe my channel, because your one subscription means a lot. And Don't forget to press the bell icon so that you will get the notification for each and every time I'll upload anything new. And thank you for watching my videos. Thank you once again. God bless you.